I go out here and look at this here, there are a lot of weeds, but as you start paying closer and closer attention and looking more closely, you can see there's lots of different wildflowers already growing here. It's a wide selection. So I thought I'd point out a few that are unusually nice. You can see these tall yellows, and from a distance they all look the same, but they're not. There's some real variety in here. So this one right here, which there are many, both sort of short and then taller ones you can see out there, and some taller ones out there. And here's some just coming into bloom. This is called ironweed or wing stem. You can see the stems actually have a little bit of a wing on them. So they're called wing stems or yellow wing stem. They have a nice yellow bloom on the top. Also called ironweed. So they're beautiful and they just grow everywhere. And then, as I look closely, there's a second yellow out here. Not ironweed, not wing stem. You can tell by the telltale black eye. This is some variety of wild black-eyed Susan popping out here. Leaves are really different. The stems are thin, no wings on them, and of course the black center in the bloom distinguishes them a lot. But that's not all. There are even more yellows out here. There's lots and lots of, well, there's jewelweed, a kind of wild impatient, really, and has a delicate little impatient bloom on it. Some of them are in bloom now, some of them were in bloom earlier in the season, but jewelweed used medicinally. We've got this giant, infamous ragweed in here. We have giant and regular ragweed. There's two different growing habits, but there's another yellow. Here's a third yellow, and this one is even more different. Yeah, it looks closer to the ironweed, but or wing stem, but the stems are smooth, just like the black-eyed Susan stems, but this bloom is not black. This is Helianthus. It looks a lot like a kind of small bloom sunflower, so it's sometimes called false sunflower, but it's in the Helianthus family, which is a large family of beautiful plants. And these all grow together here in this corner. We've got just huge ones. These things are 7 feet tall. I can reach 7 feet standing flat-footed, and they're just grown in here wild like this. Back to wing stem in this corner. Now this corner comes around down close to the river, and there's another plant that sadly I didn't catch while it was in bloom on the video, but you can see these, and if you're familiar with beautiful country garden cultivated blooms, you'll recognize this stand here in this corner, maybe 30 feet from the water, and this is some Monarda or bee balm. So these were light colored, not the dark red ones you see at the garden center a lot, but sort of a light purple, almost white, and they're so fragrant. I can smell them now. These the last couple years they've gotten some kind of a leaf mold on them, it looks like, but the stand is really strong. And there's my future black walnut tree coming along. There's some that I have sort of let go last year over by the barn here. These flowers just made these huge weeds just made a mess, and I chopped them all down. But this year I wanted to see how tall they would get and how large they would. That wild burdock, which is a notorious plant, you can read about an occasional British poem about the countryside eaten by cows, and I guess burdock and burdock root is eaten. I suppose supposedly it's nutritious, but I don't know that I'd want to do that. Beautiful bloom, kind of spiky, nice plant. No burrs on the stems, but these have just gone and gone. I haven't touched them all year. They're up. This tallest one is around 7 feet, which is probably as high as they'll get around here, but they can get taller. Here's some of that jewelweed still in bloom here, so that's nice. In backed up here against the burdock. Ugh, the much maligned pokeweed growing up. I think when these pokeweed are young, and actually I've seen some people grow the stems, let them grow, and then cut them back, and then let little shoots pop up out of a thicker stem. And those actually, I hesitate to say, but can look nice when they're early in bloom. But mostly this weed is not at the top of my list. So there's a little overview. Here's the field, a good bit of space. And I got to figure out how I'm going to manage that and bring some nice cultivated wildflowers to market and into our lives back here.